Okay, so really be there and oh, it's recording. Hey, my guys, gals, and goobs, it's me. The guide said this. I'd say that was a win for me, but it doesn't really show dislikes, so I don't know if I'm getting ratioed. Why you like this, YouTube? Why you like this? You know, me, Nate, just Nate. I like to say this isn't being split up into two parts. Yeah, I know, the last one was long, but look at those views, huh? Views don't lie, don't they? They called me mad for trying to make an hour-long video, but look at it now! Well, there's not much else to say, no, usually I'm gonna try to vindicate why you should watch this, even though there's like 4 whole videos, but looking at the views, I think people would want to watch one really long video instead of the others. I mean, that video is literally the second most popular on this channel so far. So, the other one being music, which I just uploaded on a whim. Speaking of things I'm uploading on a whim, I'm going to be trying to replicate 12 different YouTube styles. Yeah. I'm not really sure when that's coming out, I'm just announcing it, alright? Yeah. Well, at least it didn't take 2 weeks to upload this video. There's not really going to be any factors that can be in delays. I mean, my script for the next video is quite lengthy. And the other one is... Wait, what was he? Ooh. Oh, no. That's... I mean, the other video after that isn't... Oh. I am in over my head. Oh, no. Well, you can't win them all. Hold on, what about the next video, huh? Oh, okay, that's decent length. So, just the middle is gonna be... Well, I guess this one's gonna take longer because I didn't, write these a bit more in advance like I usually do, but... Oh well. Totally not upset about any of that at all. Well, hope you like that. Now, on to the video.
Hello, welcome back. It's been a while, hasn't it? We're back into the amalgamated world of Marvel heroes and video game characters. As silly as this may appear, especially with the thumbnail presented, let me remind you that both sources are equally ridiculous and often put the comic in comic books. For example, the lineup for the Avengers that you're familiar with includes a radioactive Jekyll and Hyde, a Russian super spy that for some reason defected to the US, a recolored Green Arrow, a drugged up super soldier that fights evil Germans with a frisbee, a literal Norse god, and a significantly less evil version of Elon Musk. The latter one is probably the most unrealistic of them all. Every day he vindicates my lack of respect for him. Then there are the video game counterparts used. Do I even need to tell you how weird those are? Oh, sorry. I was on a tangent for a second there. Let me apologize for that. Let us not waste any more time and get into today's subject as promised. As you might have guessed, this story is about Peter Packer. He was a normal teenager with an average life. He was raised by his Aunt May Masuyo and his Uncle Taizo, the latter being a retired miner. He works for Cave Jonah Johnson at the news publication known as the Daily Aperture. The only non-average thing in his life was that he was friends with Dr. Clash Octavius. He was often the outcast in school, so he connected with a scientist in the area. This particular one was experimenting with radioactivity in insects in order to find an ultimate power source, the power of the sun at the palm of his hands. His life changed when he visited the lab during the weekend and brought lunch with him. This seemingly harmless and insignificant decision will lead him to his herodom because, while he was eating, a radioactive spider crawled upon the table he was sitting at. He didn't notice the spider but ignored it as he went to take a drink of water. When he looked back at the table, he assumed the little arachnid left, but in truth, it had crawled into his food, the sandwich that he was about to bite into. When he bit into his food, he unwittingly consumed the spider. Its radioactive blood was digested, leaving him a little nauseous. He excused himself and went home for the rest of the day. However, he awoke the next morning feeling rather splendid, as if nothing ever happened. He didn't notice anything different until he tried to put his glasses on. When he did, his vision was very blurred. When he took them off, he saw clearly, a detail that went unnoticed due to him still being a little tired. He also felt a little stronger, as if he had the strength to lift the whole house up. He also found that he had the ability to stick to and climb on walls like a spider. Later that day, while at work, he saw an ad in the paper that advertised an opportunity to wrestle Hugh Big Hogan. The reward for surviving 3 minutes in the ring with him is $1,000. The struggling teen accepted it graciously. The wrestling alias that he chose was a Rockman. He defeated him with a combination of powers and some fishing rope Big had lying outside the arena because he was planning on going fishing after the fight. Despite practically dominating the match and causing Big to announce his retirement later that night, he was only given $100 because he KO'd his opponent before the 3-minute mark. Angered, he left, ignoring the man that was approaching the office. He could sense the danger that the man posed with his Iraq sense, as well as spotting the gun he was holding. He didn't care. In his mind, the manager had what's coming to him. After a gunshot rang throughout the building, the mugger fled the scene. He felt that it was not his responsibility to stop him and that the damage was done and for the better. That was until Uncle Taizo was shot by the same robber Peter never stopped. With his uncle dying in his arms, his words of wisdom from the past echoed back to him in his mind. With great power comes great responsibility. This moment, alongside the recollection of his uncle's motivational quote, inspired the young teen to use his powers to become a crime fighter. Inspired by his fight with Big, as well as his spider-like powers, he constructed spider fluid and web shooters so he can swing from and shoot webs from his wrists. Though the world may mock Peter Packer, the timid teenager, it would soon marvel at the awesome might of a Rockman. He quickly picked up on some interesting side effects of his powers while crime fighting. The most notable of which is that he found himself being more hungry, as well as having a larger capacity to consume food. Not too much of a problem though, as there are many street vendors in Yorkland and as there are blades of grass. While he initially took on petty street crooks, he soon encountered his first of many supervillains. His first big opponent was none other than Dr. Clash Octavius, now known as Dr. Octobear. The now mad doctor only wanted a close relationship with Peter because he wanted more help in the lab. However, with Peter's new career, he was unable to assist the doctor, leaving him with a desire for more help. His desire led him to create a pair of tentacle arms attached to his back and controlled mentally via a chip at the back of his skull. His experiment went wrong and led him to get his funding cut. All of these factors led him into a criminal lifestyle, so he can continue his now deranged experiments. It is no surprise that the new threat on his plate, as well as later threats he has to deal with, interferes with his secret civilian life. After all, the newly gained strength inside of him helped him overcome his fears and ask out the girl he always had a crush on, Missy Jane Drew. His superheroing career also led to him meeting a colorful cast of characters, some quite literally, but that's a story for another day. One such individual is Cassandra Faye Webb, an old woman born completely blind, but possessed psychic powers. She had donated her genetic material to many donors, but did not raise any of the resulting children of her own. However, as reports of people claiming they had psychic powers came to her attention, she began her own service, in which she would train many people to use their abilities under the pseudonym of Mother Faye Webb. Unfortunately for her, those so-called psychics were either crazy or just seeking attention. That wasn't until one day when she met Julia Buttercup, who genuinely displayed powers like her own. They first met a rackman after some robbers attempted to steal from them. Soon after, it became somewhat public knowledge that Mother Faye Webb and Julia had legitimate psychic powers. Once this story became popular, a villain known as the Golden Juggernaut planned on kidnapping Julia in an attempt to combat his stepfather. Using her powers, Cassandra warned Rackman of the plot and prevented it from happening. She would have stopped it herself, but the physical toll of her powers left her body frail, forcing her to be confined to a throne-like life support system. Since then, she had helped our web-headed hero by warning him whenever something tremendously devastating that he could not detect in the city of Yorkland. However, not all people Peter has met in his life are supporters of Rackman's vigilantism. Cave Jonah Johnson, often known as C. Jonah Johnson, is a staunch opponent to whatever he dubs the Arachnid Menace. Johnson is also the founder and CEO of the Daily Aperture, a news publication and research science division, although the latter was abandoned after an incident with his daughter Caroline, involving rockets in a series of portals, resulting in things going horribly awry, although you probably saw it on the news. There was no one to save the life of his daughter, causing him to resent the superhero community, including the new wall-crawling hero. During a lemon shortage, many wanted to cover the story, to which he infamously replied,
"I don't want your damn lemons! I want a picture of a rat!"
Despite his authority, a more dangerous threat lies with his daughter Caroline. The Science Research Division of Aperture was dissolved by the government. Johnson wanted one last experiment to try and revive his late daughter by putting her mind into an electronic machine. It was called the Wild Organic Life Form and Operating System, or WOLFOS. Its mechanical vessel is anthro-wolfesque, because Caroline liked werewolf stories, and the werewolf motif fit with her missions as they often dealt with the moon in some way. Some interesting things can be found on the moon, but that's definitely for another time. The experiment went horrifically wrong and she attacked everyone. They tried to quarantine her, but she was let loose, leading her to go on a crime spree. Can our wall-crawling hero find and rescue her? Will she be found by another foe for Batman? Perhaps a villain that utilizes portals in some way? That is a question I pose that will be answered at a later date, but not now, for this story is now at its end. I thank you for listening. Until next time, my friends. Goodbye.
Alright man, hitting the head with a frying pan. Hey my guys, gals, and goobs. It's me, the guy that made that intro you just saw. It was good, right? Right? You know, me, Nate. Just Nate. Now, before we get into the rest of this outro and stuff, I wanna, apologize for the delay. I got a new computer, but that didn't take that long to set up, so just figuring out the features, really. Just playing around. Also, I was sick, like I mentioned in the last video. Was sick. Still kind of sick, but not really that sick. I got over it, but, I'm still stuffy a bit. You might be able to hear that. I don't know if you can. Hope that you can't. Maybe. Anyway, you may be wondering, why didn't I combine Pac-Man with Sonic? Well, it's been done before. It's been very done before. Look up Stealth the Hedgehog. It's really been done before. Anyway, this is one of the ones that I pitched to my dad, all the way long time ago. This was just a concept at that point. Very much so. He laughed his head off when he heard about this combo. However, he had not seen anything yet. Nor will you. Heads up for that. The question, once you've seen them all, is, which one is the strangest? Once in the future, let me know. Alright, once I get all this out, which is like, at this rate, a few years, really. I'm not sure when this will be out, but this will be out. You may be wondering why I didn't put any blue in there. Well, his shoes are orange, so I kind of had to represent that, Yeah, I had to put part of the original colors in. Also, this was a redesign, what you see before you. It's actually just to make it look more like the original design. In fact, here is the original design. The new design is more supposed to, invoke Super Pac-Man from the second Pac-Man game, Pac-Man 2. You probably never heard of it, maybe? If you've seen any image of it, you'd be wondering, why does he look smug? Actually, you know what? I'll save you the Google search. This is what he looks like in the game. Yes, he does look smug. With all of that said, I really hope you liked today's video, and if you like it, thumbs up and stuff. Ring that notification bell to be notified of latest releases. And, of course, subscribe. Tell your friends. And then they tell two friends. Then they tell two friends. This isn't a pyramid scheme. No, it's not. Alright, with all of that said, thank you and goodbye.
Hello. Today, we will discuss an individual of significant importance. While all are special and most likely changed or saved a life without them even knowing it, this one is especially of importance due to them having powers that could change the world. Of course, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let us not beat around the bush further and risk a tangent like last time, and finally delve into the life of a woman named Cereza Maximoff. One of the most important moments of her life occurred before it even began. Like a couple of other heroes mentioned prior, she was of another time, born in a period long since past for centuries. She was brought into the world in the middle of the 17th century. Her very birth was quite eventful. An evil demon known as Lothon arose in North America in 1668. Its goal was to enhance what he perceived to be a powerful being. Cereza had a mutation within her, one that could allow her to manipulate reality itself. He also chose this moment because another was being born simultaneously. Quite rare at that time for two individuals to be born at the same time and have genetic alterations within them. There are a large number of such individuals, some I have mentioned previously. However, such a topic would take far too long to cover in one bio, let alone multiple ones like I plan to do in the future. So stay tuned for the moment I do cover them. Lothon wanted to divide his powers among the new infants. However, he was halted by a coven of witches who were protecting the soon-to-be-born pair after they uncovered the demon's plot. The wicked spirit seemed to be defeated, but that was what he wanted them to think as he silently crept upon the pregnant mothers. Shortly thereafter, Cereza and a then slave known as Rodietro were born. Cereza received the aforementioned reality warping powers while Rodietro gained super speed, able to traverse long distances within the blink of an eye. His bizarre powers, along with the racial biases at the time, caused him to be kicked out from the farm he was forced to work on during his youth. This decision was mostly due to the fear that his powers could potentially spark a slave uprising. The poor kid, now separated from his family, was adopted by the coven that birthed Cereza, making the two siblings. This coven was run by Jeanne Harkness, a woman that expressed the protection of her group as her topmost priority. That is why she sent the most powerful one Cereza into the mystic Mind Gem in 1693. She then told Rodietro to travel forward in time to ensure that no harm befell his adopted sister. She said that her reasons for this decision is because of the persecution they were suffering under during the Salem witch trials. However, once the two biggest threats to her were dispatched, she turned toward her fellow witches and revealed her true colors. She really wanted to sop the power from her coven and use the power for herself. Meanwhile, over 300 years later, Cereza was awakened from her centuries-long slumber by Octohydra agent Anton von Strucker. Unfortunately, she did not remember anything else, not just inside the gem, but of the rest of her life as well, as her time inside the magical gemstone had caused her to develop amnesia. Anton was enraged and wanted further information as to who she was, so he and his son, Lucas, experimented on the poor, empty-headed witch. Sometime shortly afterwards, she was saved by a group that were just like her, at least in regards to genetic variations, and claimed to be heroes. She joined this team. Her savior seemed quite an unlikely force. They were called Team Brotherhood. They were a very special group of villains that I believe are too complicated for just a simple description. I'll save them for another time. What is relevant here is that they are bad, and she was saved from Team Brotherhood by Rodietro, who had arrived from the past using his super speed. They soon became members of the hero team known as the O-Men. This is the moment she got her name, Scarlet Umbra, and Rodietro took on the moniker of Speed Demon. They let her quit and joined the Avenging Fighters, where she fell in love with an Avenging Fighter named the Emerald. He's quite the complicated character and also deserves his own bio. Rodietro would later die during an attack from an enemy force, and after he lost a bet to the King of Demons, Mephisto, he became the guardian of the gates of hell. Understandably, this loss made Cereza feel slightly mentally unstable, but I hope this does not lead to anything horrible for one simple reason. She is a powerful witch, but doesn't know how to properly use her gifts. At least, that was largely the case until Jeanne Harkness discovered her in the modern day and helped her use her powers. You may be saying to yourself, Naratu, what is she doing here? She's from the past. No, she's supposed to be in the past. How is she still alive? Well, if you allowed me to continue. As stated previously, she sapped the power from her fellow coven members, and she used this power to become essentially immortal. That is how she can survive into the modern day. Glad I cleared that up. With her training, she was not only able to shoot magic out of her hands, but even her ankles. An unlikely place, I know, but it helps sometimes. Mostly circumstantial, but it does help. However, she still had some trouble doing more powerful spells. In one instance, she and some other heroes had encountered Phantom Skull, but he was too powerful as he was harnessing the psychic powers of a hero that will be discussed in his own profile for later, and the only way to defeat him was casting a spell that temporarily inverted his moral axis. It succeeded, but it also flipped the moral compass of everyone else in the immediate vicinity, which unfortunately included many heroes. The most impactful of these changes was from the Iron Hedgehog, who changed his name to Superior.exe soon after. He put sharp claws on his suit and used them to slash the areas under his eyes so it looked like blood was coming out of them. This was done for the purpose of intimidation, mostly. His suit was still red, but with more white accents taking up the color palette of his new suit. His ego was like that of him before he became heroic, but magnified tenfold. With his newfound ego and power, he proclaimed to many that,
I am God.
almost immediately Scarlet Umbra set about a counter to the horrible hex she created. However, once she did it, the only one unaffected was Sunny. That's because he saw it coming and created a special shield to preserve his villainy. Afterwards, he planned to put a version of Extremasol into the water supply of his home city, San Fran Central. Extremasol is a regenerative yet fiery virus created by two former co-workers named Blaze Hansen and Aldridge Sylvian of a subsidiary of Hark Industries called the 200 Future Farm. However, battles with his allies and even villains Justin Nuggles and the Egg Mandarin helped prevent the crisis. Oh, I neglected to mention Justin Knuckles is a business competitor that has his main headquarters on Angel Island, an island in the San Fran Central Bay. Fortunately, after all is said and done, Sunny's morality was reversed back to normal later. This is just one of the consequences of Cereza's power not being fully in control. However, if her grief overpowers her mind, then there is no true telling as to what could happen if things got out of hand. However, you can rest easy that it has not happened yet. Fortunately, it seems like only a matter of time. If that time ever comes, I will be there. I will always be there like I've always been, for I am Naratu the storyteller. And this is the end of yet another story. I do hope you have enjoyed this tale. Until next time, everyone.
Hello, my guys, gals, and we're going this way. Okay, It's me! The guy that changed the name of his channel for really no reason. There's... I just felt like it. I was bored. But I did it. You know, me, Nate. Just Nate. With a lot of new characters at the end. No, I'm gonna talk about this video. Of course. I mean, what else am I gonna be talking about? So, this is the second one in the series, the second hero pack. It's originally meant to be the last one. You know, because I thought about that, but then I realized that Agatha all along was coming out. And this, well, not this week, because I'm not really consistent as I thought I was. It'll be coming out on the Wednesday that I'm recording this. Wow, this process really takes a long time, now that I think back at it. But, you know, effort. A good job is only worth doing. Yeah, that. Now, You may be wondering, why a Sonic.exe reference? Although considering who this audience is, you probably don't know who that is. It's a fan character. Creepy pasta. So, why did I put a fan character in here? For fun? Yeah, I won't do that next time. Maybe. Probably. Also, if you Sonic fans, who probably aren't watching, I don't know, if you guys think this is a good justification for putting Princess Sally into this, then no. No. That's not really... No. I might compensate with another Sonic princess down the line. But, that'll never happen, right? 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 Also, I really liked how the logo I used turned out, you can see it here. That's a nice logo. I really like that logo. It's a nice logo. Really good, wasn't it? Combination of the Avengers and the Bayonetta font. A bit... not that hard to do. Maybe a little, but it's fine. It's fun. So, with all of that said, I want to briefly talk about how this character went through a lot of iterations. I mean, I deleted a lot of them because I didn't think I'd be using them again, but, since I started this series, I decided, hey, why not put the original versions? Yeah, originally it looked like this. Yeah, that's not really good, is it? Yeah, not really. So, I decided to change it. You know what I changed it to? I changed it into this. Yeah. That. Why am I pointing up like it's TikTok? Now, of course, that's very close to the final design. But it's not the final design because I decided to change the hair. And then add shading. After that. Yeah. From this point forward, there's going to be shading. Shading all over the place. Shade everywhere. Gonna shade on the bed. Yeah, the first Hero Pack didn't have shading. In case you somehow didn't notice that. So, I'm making that up. I thought, hey, wouldn't it be nice if I shaded? And then I did it. Yeah. That's the final product you see in this video. It's cool. It's nice. I like it. Yeah, not much else to say here. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching this series. Until next time, my guys, gals, and goobs. Bye! Oh.
Well, hello again. It's time once more to discuss the world that I have shown you. Let us not waste any more time and jump into it. This is the story of Shulk Strange. While he is not a doctor like you may assume, he does still carry within him the the potential to change the world for the better. While not mutated to easily achieve these feats like our last subject, it's still amazing how proficient he is at magical wonders. This sorcerer was always connected to the practice of magic known as the arts mystic. He was raised by magicians in a place called Valiktaj, a hidden place in Nepal, perfect for practicing sorcery. He never had time to formally train, as when he was 4, a group of sorcerers had broken in. They all pledged servitude to the evil entity known as Zanzamu. With some fierce fighting, they killed everyone except for the young Shulk. With a teleportation spell, he was taken to Yorkland and put into orphanary Iniad. His life after that moment was quite normal. He had a photographic memory, a gift that helped him become a great engineer. He knew the arts mystic existed, but he didn't want to be involved in any life-risking dangers anymore. That's why he chose a career as an engineer, since it involved creating things using man-made instruments instead of conjuring things with magic. Ironically, he was forced back into the arts mystic to heal his hands. It was all the more ironic since they were damaged from a car crash, a vehicle that is very engineered. He was trained by the Elder One, Dunban, and became friends with sorcerers like Wen and Daicilian. While training, he found an amulet that was referred to as the Eye of Manada Modo. It was said to be created by a regretful servant to the evil Zanzamu. It is also said to give the wielder visions of events yet to occur due to a strange gemstone held within. It was wielded by Dunban for a long time until they broke their right arm, because even with years of use with it, he still couldn't fully control it. The mystery intrigued Shulk, and caused him to have a fascination with it. After some years of training, he felt he was strong enough to wield the Eye Manada Modo. Once he did, he saw a strange vision of a battle between him and Daicilian. Once that said individual came into the room and threatened him, Strange knew that the stories were true, that the necklace really could reveal the future to him. Daicilian revealed himself to be a disciple of Zanzamu and tried to kill Strange. This was due to a prophecy saying that the Eye of Manado Modo will be properly wielded by a being known as the Visionary Supreme, someone that will be powerful enough to defeat Zanzamu. Shulk proved to be the victor in the fight. This displeased Daicilian's master, who was now in a position to invade Earth. He struck, and hard, forcing Shulk to push his limits to defeat him. He used his new powers of the Visionary Supreme to face the wicked entity head-on. However, even with this, taking on Zanzamu was not an easy thing to do. Within this dimension, this Lord of Chaos was the ruler and basically its god. He is nearly invincible, and is very prolific and the arts mystic. He is nearly on par with Strange's power level. Calling his strength superhuman would be the understatement of the eon. He was always like this, however, even before artificially reaching godhood. Millions, if not billions of years ago, he used to be part of an ancient and powerful species called Homai. He killed his parent, Cinepharglus, then sought to create a new dimension in order to achieve divinity, while simultaneously getting rid of everyone that was critical of their actions. He was aided by his twin sister Gallimar, who, with their joint efforts, succeeded in their goal. This led to the creation of the Ether Dimension, where they were basically gods. His very world is a result of his unrelenting viciousness. Shulk also has to deal with the disciples of Zamzamu, like Dicilian and Clealvis, who themselves are skilled sorcerers. One might assume, after reading this passage, that defeat for Shulk would be inevitable. Your assessment of the situation would be correct, or at least it would be if it weren't for external help. You see, the defeat of the Nzamu's lackeys wasn't too much of a problem for the Visionary Supreme. However, when defeating Clealvis, she became fascinated by his power and grew attached. She revealed that she is the daughter of Galamar and thus the niece of Zanzamu. Her uncle wished to rid the being that in the prophecy was proposed to be the one to ultimately bring demise upon him. She said with her help, they can defeat the evil god together. Shulk was wary of her intentions but played along as he needed all the help he could get. Once he approached her uncle, a great battle ensued. Spells were cast, blows were traded, reality seemed to rupture at their feet. Yet in the end of it all, Strange had defeated his opponent. Clealvis was right, as her assistance was instrumental in defeat of her uncle. Zanzamu had not perished but did retreat from Earth. With the day saved for now, Strange went back home alongside the now disowned Clealvis. She still had a connection to the Ether Dimension, allowing her to see when Zanzamu was going to strike. Unfortunately, this is the only power that couldn't be stripped of her by her uncle. Clealvis got herself an apartment in Yorkland with the help of Strange and started a new life. She began to study magic to compensate for her lack of other powers. This allowed her to aid Strange on some of his missions, and this allowed their kinship to grow stronger than ever before, blossoming into romantic feelings. However, a revelation was revealed that led them going more separate ways. She only felt sympathetic to Earth because she has helped her uncle a long time ago. As it turns out, she was the reason the Ether Dimension exists. It was through her power that allowed her to destroy the old dimension. She felt guilty over her actions but still remained loyal to her uncle because she didn't want to get hurt. But that only led her to be banished out of the Ether Dimension by Zanzamu. Devastated, Strange broke the affair with her. Will these two lovebirds rekindle their flame? Only time will tell. That is the story for now. I do hope you enjoyed my presentation. I hope you appreciated it. This is only the end for now. Until next time. Goodbye.
Whoa! Oh my gosh! I'm actually doing it! Yeah! Ooh, magic. That was definitely real. What's up, my guys, gals, and goops? It's me, the guy that definitely learned magic because that's totally a real thing that exists in reality. Me, Nate, just Nate. And boy, I'm really feeling it. Now, this was a bit more creative than my usual stuff because, I turned the jacket into the cloak of levitation. That's pretty cool. I put the Doctor Strange's emblem on the shirt, and that's I think I like that a lot. I was gonna make it a sweater with all little patterns on it, but... Well, not patterns, just lines to indicate that it's a sweater, but... Yeah, I didn't do that. So... Yeah. Also turned his necklace into the eye of Agamotto. That's really, really cool. And after that, characters on his shields are Minato symbols that are kanji for shield and armor. That's cool. I say that a lot. I've been saying that a lot through this outro. I think it's just to make up for the fact that the intro, more build-up, was shorter than last time. I cut to the chase real quickly, I think. Maybe I should have built it up more, in my opinion, but well, oh well, I already got the audio, so yeah, I already did that. I'm pretty sure this outro is also going to be short, so I'm saying that because bye!
Hello. I would like to address a small issue I previously made. The length of the previous tale presented was inadequate in runtime. There was a lot of potential that I missed. The various spells that he performed, further detail on Clealvis' mother, heck, even the cape on the sorcerer's back. I have squandered each and every opportunity to follow the various avenues presented that could have expanded upon the characters' backstories. I will not gloss over such details again. All of these instances of skimming over are really just in case I ever find myself on a tangential tirade. I will not divulge every single detail of our subjects' lives, for that would be excruciatingly boring. However, I will be more detailed in my narrations from now on. Now, without any further delays, let us now delve into the story you've all been waiting for. To fully understand our tale, we must once again turn back the clock. Long ago to another time, one where 3 people cemented themselves as superheroes in secret, long before the rise of any modern superheroes. These individuals are Dr. Hank Light, Ciel Van Arcadine, his wife, and Dr. Darren W. Wiley, the best friend of Dr. Light. They worked for the organization known as Gun Shield. They utilized this trio in order to deter any communist threats, at least ones with high-level technology that could potentially threaten the balance of power on the global stage. Each of these heroes had their own superhero monikers. Dr. Hank Light was the original Meg Ant-Man. His wife was referred to as Wasploid, and Dr. Wiley donned the name Basiliath. However, this team officially dissolved once Hank and Wiley quit. Their reasoning for this action is quite simple. Van Arcadine had sacrificed herself while on a mission by going into the refracting realm. The duo split and went far into separate paths. Dr. Light kept his research regarding his light particles, the substance that allows him to change size, to himself. These chemicals can change not only the distance between atoms, but the size of atoms themselves. His specifically designed suit allows him to harness this energy for himself. He seized all of the light particles upon the dissolution of the group, leading Dr. Wiley to establish Wiley Technological Enterprises. This venture sought to research light particles so that he may once again harness its power. Both individuals' exposure to light particles over the years have led them to become mentally unstable and addicted. Dr. Light prodded into these effects after an argument with his wife turned physically violent. An out-of-character moment for him, as he is usually known for being quite composed. This led him to privating his research. Wiley, on the other hand, became corrupted further due to the experiments that were being performed. While the trials were never conducted on him specifically, the potency of these concoctions, paired with his prior exposure, turned him somewhat insane. As years went by, Darren only saw failure after failure. This led him to be so frustrated that he eventually gave up and hired a well-renowned thief to steal the light particles the good doctor had. This is where our hero enters the picture. Before we discuss our main topic, we must turn back once more to the past to see how he got to this position. This is a story of Rox Lang. His job was rather simple. He was a mine digger, a job from the family business. When he was exploring the dig site, he discovered a young girl named Cassie Volnich, whom he later adopted as his daughter. She was trying to steal from a shady big tech company that uses its tech to slow the aging process, but she was defeated and presumed dead, so they hid her body in a cave. In order to help her damaged state, he decided to try and rob the company himself. His success led him to be hired for many jobs of illegal thievery. His resilience and cunning made him well known, so much so that he got himself on the radar of Dr. Wiley. This outwardly charming and seemingly honest CEO is no stranger to performing illicit acts to get his way. He often hired criminals off the street whenever human trials were required for his research, even when he knew with utmost certainty that these experiments would horrifically fail. He approached Lang and assumed the position of one of Lang's employers. In exchange for the heist of Dr. Light's special suit, he and his daughter would be guaranteed financial security. Desperate, he agreed. After cracking Light's advanced security system, he stole the proto-jacket suit and brought it to Wiley. Once Dr. Wiley got the suit, his true colors began to show after Rox saw some of the Mad Doctor's horrific animal experiments. This prompted him to explain the powers of the suit and his goals of using his proto-jacket to protect the world. Once Wiley's visions were uncovered, he told Rock that he saw too much and told the guards to open fire on him. Rock managed to escape and recover the suit, but was severely injured by the attack. Bones were broken and organs were ruptured, but through the power of sheer perseverance and luck, he managed to get back to Dr. Light's home so he can tell him of his experience. He confessed to the theft and warned of Dr. Wiley and his proto-jacket. Rock's damaged body was too injured, so, out of kindness, Dr. Light tried his best to heal him. However, when he saw that the damage was too great, he was forced to look at his wife's old mechanical blueprints in hopes he could come across something that could aid him. With the final assessment of Lang's condition, he was forced to build a robot body for him, because he had to replace everything but Rock's head, the only non-severely damaged part of him. He also appointed this new person to become the new Meg Ant-Man, due to a variety of factors. First, of course, was because of the fact that he is far too old. Other reasons are that he was very honest and became close to Light during his recovery whilst he was undergoing surgery. The role was also bestowed upon him because Dr. Wiley has the proto-suit, which contains light particles. He knew the only way to defeat such a villain is with equal footing. He couldn't fight Wily, so he trained Rock in various ways of combat involving shrinking and growing. He also upgraded the suit to include a blaster that's summoned using nanites. These can shoot yellowish projectiles that contain blasts of light particles. Lang accepted because Dr. Wily could cause great pain to the world, especially to his daughter. Another reason he agreed was because he had grown romantically involved in Light's daughter, Hope Van Arcadine. Rock managed to defeat the Mad Doctor in several confrontations, each one more threatening than the last, with henchmen that have great abilities themselves, despite how all of this immediately tarnished his public image. However, despite the odds stacked against him, he persevered and triumphed over the Mad CEO. After Rock successfully defeated Dr. Wily and his goons several times, Dr. Light felt confident enough to send Hope to fight alongside the shrinking hero as the new Wasploid. The newly formed duo now fights off Dr. Wily and his special employees. Each adventure is fantastical in its own right and is deserving of its own tale, however. Thus, I won't be covering any of it here. Perhaps another day. For now, though, we end our journey once again, for we have reached the end of this tale. I hoped it was sufficient in its thoroughness. While this does conclude this particular chapter, I do hope you join us for the next story. Trust me, it is something far different than what you have seen thus far. I bid you farewell until then.
Hey my guys, gals, and goobs. It's me, someone who is wearing a Doctor Strange shirt because I forgot to last time. You know, me, Nate, just Nate. And boy, this was pretty good. Whew, this was a tricky one to do, so design notes time. I originally leaned into more Ant-Man elements by making him more red, only coloring the waist, legs, and hands blue as a nod to the original Ant-Man from the comics, but... Oh, and I also made the eyes look more angry in the original by modifying the helmet. Fortunately, I might have deleted the original, so fortunately, you're gonna have to be stuck with my word for now. Honestly, why would I lie about this? You know. Yeah, that version of the little hero, the little guy, he looked more like an evil villain, like Ultron or something out of Star Wars, you know? You know how stormtroopers are kind of like robotic? Yeah, it looked like an evil robot. To rectify this, I added more blue, so I decided to make the middle section darker, combining the dark section from the comic version of Ant-Man and the gray portion of Mega Man from Mega Man Legend. I based a lot of the design from that iteration of Mega Man while combining elements from other versions of Mega Man. I never drew from the original since it is stated that Dr. Light was the original here. That's the story, that's the lore that I established. Anyway, with all that said, I think it turned out well. I really hope you guys liked it. As for Hero Pack 2, well, it's done. Like I stated in the original, the video that laid out the design, the basic outline. It's supposed to be 4 videos in a pack. The first one was really just an exception. So, yeah, this is the end of Hero Pack 2. Now, what comes after this? Well, I'm doing something a bit different. That's right. I'm doing a villain pack. You are going to love it. I can guarantee it. Oh, the stories I can tell, the possibilities. The heroes and villains clashing. Something I think you'll like a lot. Well, until that day comes, of course. This has been Nate, once more, saying bye.
Oh, Sunny Hawk, you and your friend group do not realize the danger you are in. You will think twice before trying to evade the clutches of the Chaos Rings. Next time, my little blue pest, you will see firsthand of the brilliance of your soon-to-be arch-rival, the Egg Mandarin. See you soon.